Hey, this is Pastor Tony Swift, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers in the world. Today's show, we're on the topic. All this today is Ask the Pastor. We're dealing with questions from the cast of our multiple shows that we have in our church, and we're going to talk today about fathers. So let's begin our journey and the questions that they asked the pastor concerning Father's Day.
Hi, my name is Minister Rock, and I'm a cast member of Man Up. And my question for you today, Pastor, is what advice would you give to a father who longs for a relationship with his child, but the mom is not allowing him to?
Unfortunately, that is a problem when you create children out of a relationship that has diminished, that have no longer have a connection with the male and the female of bonding anymore. In some cases that happen. My word to you as a father is stay consistent, be doing your role, and time will catch up with it. Don't let the woman use the power of witchcraft or anything to pull you into a position where your guilt, that you become guilty because of their actions towards you. So my word to close that chapter out or close that question is maintain a consistency in what you do, even though it doesn't seem like the child is seeing it. Time will reward you. So I encourage you to stay consistent.
Hi, I am Elder Chantal. I am one of the co-hosts of Conversations. My question to Pastor is this. Pastor, you are a business owner, you are a caretaker, you run a ministry, and of course you are a father. So my question is, how do you balance fatherhood with running a ministry?
Well, just be yourself. In all those arenas, you're capable of being successful, but you're also capable of making mistakes. And what you fail to understand is that although the father is the covering over a family, he's not a superhero. And he's capable of making mistakes, and he's capable of creating standards that may be complicated to others. So my word to you is just be yourself. Be the best father you can be. Don't try to be a superhero. Don't try to be a TV character. Just become the father that God created you to be, fearfully and wonderfully made. If laughter is a part of your character that you share with your family, then you be the funny person. If knowledge is what God has gave you, then you be the one that imparts understanding and knowledge. But what you don't want to be is something someone made you to be. Just be yourself. Some of the greatest lessons I have learned as being a father is how to love and to serve wounded, how to forgive them and they don't even know they hurt you, how to support them when they don't even care you showed up, how to invest in them and they look for someone else to give the praise to. I've learned that I'm a father because I want to. I'm a father because I can. And nothing you do, say, or don't do will change me from being a father. I learned never to let someone judge my fatherhood because I paid a big price to be there.
Hello, I'm MIT Janelle from Conversations. And Pastor, my question to you is, what's the best gift to give to the father who has everything and can buy himself anything?
The best gift you can give a father that has everything, that really can buy himself anything, is the respect that you identify that he makes your life work. The respect that you identify that the seasons that he invested into you financially, the seasons that he invested into you emotionally, the seasons that he invested into you knowledge, that is paying off. And that you're not going to forget him because of the growth of your personal life, that you're not going to ignore him because of something else coming into your environment that seems like it's more promising. You have to understand that the tree has no significance if it does not have foundation in the root. The root is the key that makes the tree flourish. And the father is the foundation of the family, the father and the mother. And if you ignore those pieces, eventually the power of the tree will lose its strength. So my word to that is to never let that person feel that his role in your life has no significance in today's time. Well, I think that when you are when you're a father, and then you have your man, and you live a certain lifestyle before or during that area, that I think that it's very important that what the old people used to do, make sure your children stay in their lane. Make sure that you don't let your child dictate or attack the past of you. There's certain things a child should not be privileged to because of the relationship of your title. I think that, it's like being intimate with your wife in the bedroom, that your child should not be in the bunk bed beside it, being privileged to your emotions and your actions. There's a lot of mistakes that you would do as a man that will be the key or the catalyst for you to be a great father. Fathering does not change. You being a great father does not mean that you're the best man in the world, but you can be the most incredible father in the world. So my answer to that is making sure, though we live in a world where children feel that they're free to say what they want to say, make sure that your child stay in their lane, because that's the role that you have. God is our father, but he refused to let us see every dimension about him. And he has multiple dimensions, but he refused to let his children see multiple dimensions about him, everything about him. But he's passionate that we see him as Father, Abba Father. It's so important that we understand, although we journey and make multiple mistakes, although we have, a lot of situations that have come upon us, that we make sure that the father role towards the children is not blemished, that you maintain a consistent role as a father and don't let the child demand to be exposed to something you've done in your past.
Hi, I'm Pastor Poole. I'm the members of the Conversations cast. Pastor Tony, here's my question. What advice would you give to a father or a man who is attempting to deal with the problems of a blended family?
Well, the answer to that question, I believe, is when a father is dealing with a blended family, is don't become that family's father until you understand what you're meeting. Take time, just as well as you take the time to understand the person you're in love with, you must take the time to understand the children that she brings. And most blended families can work very well if the children are out of the house. But if the children are in the house and the father of those children are active, or the mother has become the dominant father of those children, you must take time that parent, that mother, brings it all together, and in time release the authority for you to be that person's father or covering. You must, the authority must be released. If the authority is not released, you will always have conflict, because no one needs to serve two masters. You have to understand that he will love one and hate the other. So you got to understand that woman must bring the father into that position by releasing her power to you as being the stepfather. I know y'all don't like to use that word, but the father to blend the family together. If she doesn't do that, then the child that's been molded to follow that mother will never understand the value to follow you as a father.
Hi, I'm Pastor Marcus from Man Up. And my question is, what would you tell a father that has not been in his child's life up to this point, but now wants the relationship? What's the first step that he should take to build that relationship?
Apologize. Really be sincere about the mistakes that they've done in order for that child to be able to embrace that you have identified you failed. The second thing is to be patient in how much that child chooses to surrender to you, because just like a child being born, it takes time for that child to embrace you and identify that this is my mother and this is my father. So as you walk in and say, I'm ready to be your father, you must give that child the time to identify that you are their father and embrace or allow you to share into the role that a father has. You please don't come in thinking that because you said I'm sorry, everything should be over with, because you planted the seed that they should receive you. You got to understand, you are respected as the father, but you're not respected as the father's role. So in order to maintain, to be a part of that role, first you must apologize. Then you must be patient in the child receiving you and share and giving you more control of being the father. That's the answer I have for that. What encouragement should I give to a father that feels like their children don't appreciate him? No one can, just like a mother, no one can alleviate the pain of being rejected or being not appreciated. That's not only with fatherhood or motherhood, but even a child can understand the pain of being not appreciated or not being understood or not being celebrated. It's a terrible feeling to a child to wake up on their 12th, 13th birthday with a mother and father in the house and siblings, and no one wants to give them a gift. No one wants to celebrate that day. No one wants to identify that they are important to them. And that's what celebration is all about, making sure that that person sees that you are important. We have minimized it because we have realized that we more takers than receivers, than givers. We love to receive things than we like to give. But that pain cannot be adjusted by a smile or it's okay. That pain can only be adjusted by the child making a decision to show the father that he has worth, show the father that he has value. There was a very painful time when Jesus was on the cross, and he realized that these people did not see him the way he's supposed to be seen. He called out to the Father. He says, God, forgive them, for they know not what they do. What didn't change was, although he was asking for forgiveness, what didn't change is that he still had the pain. So I want you to understand, I want those that are listening to me that has fathers, that woke up this morning and said, well, I'll get to him by 7 or I'll get to him by 8 tonight. Please understand that rejection or not being celebrated in an area that you've been consistent in brings pain.
Hey, I'm MIT John, and my question today for Pastor Tony Smith is, as far as dealing with dads, fathers not allowing the child's mother to frustrate them or irritate them, and staying focused on being in their kid's life. And I wanted to know, what advice would you have for men that's been through some abuse from the mothers and stuff like that?
First, you have to make a decision in your life that you will be that child's father no matter what. That's the first thing. The second thing you have to find a way where you can, people say co-parenting. Sometimes that don't always work. So you have to find a way that you will allow your role in that child's life can be consistent. And unfortunately, I know men are not excited about this. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to let the court system give you space. give you the authority to have that space with that child if you have a parent that's being a woman that's using the child as a tool to control the anger that she has for you. So and you have a case like that, even though it will be an awesome idea that y'all will not have to use the court system to co-parenting. But if you realize that y'all are struggling in co-parenting, you have to allow a system to come in and give you the space, the legal space that you have to raise those children. Keep in mind that when you bring the system in, the system not only gives you the space, it gives you the responsibility too. So you can't minimize your responsibility financially because you want more space. Both of them will come together when you have two parents that do not want to co-parent together. And when you work as a co-parent, when you're working as co-parents, both parents have equal authority. And some people don't want to do that to make that happen. So you have to use a system to come in and make it work. What did I say to women that don't trust men or don't trust their father because of the past? The Bible says, forgetting those things that are behind you and reaching for the things that are ahead. Order to get out of something, order to get out of quicksand, order to get out of being buried in something, you must reach. I will say give time, give the opportunity to reach. Forgive and learn to reach, because the only thing you're hurting is the investment to the future. Simply means that the future has now been shut off because of the presence of your pain. Pain only lingers because you notice it. You play with it. You play with the sore. You don't allow the sore to heal properly. You keep pulling the scab off. You keep digging in it. Stop digging in stuff that hurt you and learn to trust something, even if you choose to trust it slowly. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to add to this. Don't let a child live through the pain of her mother towards the father. Learn to say, that was your experience in relationship. Let me find my own experience in father and childhood. And allow yourself to grow, not through because the pain of your mother, but grow through the love of your father. Because a man can be an incredible father and a terrible boyfriend or husband. So through time, let time grow you.
Hello, I'm MIT coach from Man Up. My question to you, Pastor, is what do you do when you find out that your father had another child outside of your siblings?
You keep loving them. You keep loving them. And let's be realistic. If he's married and he had another child by someone else, the person that should be wounded more is the woman that stood by him, the woman that's standing in the gap with him. But if they're not connected, he has children through some other relationships in his life, it doesn't change his role as your father. It doesn't change his role as imparting into you. Let me break something down. You do not have to be a sperm donor to be a father to someone else. It just means that you value the time, you're putting the time in, and you're putting the sacrifice, and you're putting the investment. There are some men that has the ability to be able to invest in other children's lives and still maintain the life that he has with his own children and become equal with all. So my word is to you is don't let his personal problems affect your personal relationship with him, because he's still your father. And if he's still investing as a father, it should not minimize what he does to someone else if he's maintaining what he's doing for you.
Hi, my name is Elder Saffron, and I'm with the cast of Let's Talk with Victory. Pastor, my question is, how would you encourage a single father on Father's Day?
So you're saying that the father is the primary parent, and how do you celebrate the primary parent to a father? The same way you celebrate the primary mother that has an infant or has a child that's not able to impart into the child's life, the father's life, is that those that are around him that see that he's an incredible father to a child that can't give to him at that time, you give. You identify. Grandma calls him. Grandma gets a gift and say, listen, I want to give you a Father's Day gift. Of course, you're not my father, but you are an incredible father. And I want to encourage you to maintain that by giving you something because your child can't give it to you. I think that's good. I think the world should consider that those that have children that are not able to invest in their father because of age or because of circumstances, that those that see the quality in that man to take the time and just give him a card, give him a call, or give him some substance. And I guarantee you that it would enhance his ability to go on, not because he's an incredible father, because he is, but it would enhance him that someone sees it. And because someone sees it, it would make him encouraged to move forward into the things that he's called to be as a father.
Hello, everyone. Evangelist Shala here from the show Conversations. First and foremost, Pastor Tony Smith, I would like to say Happy Father's Day. We thank you for the man of God that you are. We thank you for the pastor, the prophet, the teacher that you are. And we are blessed to have you a part of our lives here at Victorious Ministries. My question for you today, man of God, is what advice can you give to a father who have not been a part of their child life? We're going to say 10, 15, 20 years, and now they have decided to make a conscious decision to reach out to this child. What advice could you give him to help him, to encourage him, first of all, to have the courage to step out, but second of all, to give him some direction of how to approach the situation, how to approach the environment that he may walk into, how to approach even the rejection that may take place during his attempt to become a part of his child's life. My second question for you on today, man of God, is what advice can you give a father who feels as though he has not been all that God has called him to be? What is some strategies? What is some advice?
Well, I'm going to answer both of those questions, those long questions together at the same time. I would tell the man, before you start the journey of becoming the man of God, before you start the journey of trying to become a father again, to forgive yourself first. Forgive yourself, because the worst torment you can have is to start the journey and keep beating on yourself, because the questions that are going to be asked, the challenges that you're going to have, is going to always remind you, should you take this journey, because it's too long. You've been taking too long. But it's just like salvation. What I love about God is we take so long showing up, but when we get here, he's always waiting for us. So I would say forgive yourself. And the second thing I would give you is, because no one knows the obstacles that you're going to meet until you get in there, make up your mind you're going to stay consistent in redeeming yourself and don't give up.
Hi, my name is Minister Rachel, and I'm a cast member of Conversations. Pastor Tony, I have a question for you. How do you celebrate a father when you know who he is, but you don't have a relationship with him? What's the best way to celebrate your father that way?
How do you celebrate your father when you don't have a relationship with him, but you know he's your father, and he knows you? He knows that he's your father, and you know that he's your father. I guess the best way to answer that question is, on his birthday, identify him. On Father's Day, identify him, and allow the identification and the time that you invest on those particular days become something that will grow. And I think in time, that seems like it's gap, that seems like it's far apart, will become a blend. This is what I realized, that if you have a father that could not be there for you, then you might have to think that you was just created in his worst time or in the closing of his life to be there for him. And you have to understand that God does not make a mistake, and his plans and his strategies are clear. That he says that when your mother and father forsake you, that he'll bring a father to you. He'll bring a mother to you to lift you up. So he's never going to have you motherless, and he's never going to have you fatherless. So in reality, if you accept the people that come to lift you up, so in reality, He's never going to let a father feel like he doesn't have a child. So in all honesty, in the days of his life that God is allowing it to exist, there will be a time in your life where you say, I chose to help my father because I was strong enough to.
Hi, I'm Deaconess Nitris, a part of the cast of Let's Talk with Victory. And Pastor, my Father's Day question is, as a single mother, how do I teach my son and my grandson how to be a good father, husband, man of God altogether when he hasn't had many good role models in front of him?
Well, the word is it's never too late. The answer to that question is, if you ever want to teach your son how to treat other women and how to be a better father and a better man example, then you need to show him what you expect from men in your life. You need to show him what you will take and what you will not take concerning men, not just boyfriend or husband, but also how you allow your brother to treat you, how you allowed your uncle to treat you. Because this is a statue that all men, he will follow something. He's going to imitate something. So what you need to do is create a standard as a woman that all men must respect. And he will see that this is the kind of woman that I want to be connected to because my mother taught me how men treat women.
What's up? It's Minister Matt. I'm from the cast of Man Up. My question to you, Pastor, is what can a father do to make sure that his legacy continues on in a positive light?
What could a father do to make sure that his legacy attends on in a positive way? Two things. One is he must always impart into all of his children the knowledge and the wisdom and the standard of who he is, so when time takes him away, they can always identify or remind the others who you are and what you stood for. It doesn't matter if it's black or white. They ought to know that you stand for black and white. And they ought to be able to sit at the table and one person says one thing and all the children say, yep, that's daddy. And because they know that, that's in carrying a part of your legacy into the children's after them. The second thing is, if you have an inheritance and you build an inheritance, detail the inheritance to where it should go. Give it identity. Point it to those that can build it, point it to those that need it, and point it to those that can enhance it. And that's important. Just don't die and allow them to figure out what they need to do with your stuff. Place a title and a name to the things that have a significance to you. The watch, tell them who it goes to. The car, tell them who you want it to have. The house, tell them how you want the house to be maintained. Is it going to be a house that's for the whole family and you want it to stay in the family? You never want them to sell it. Whatever the case may be, allow them to know what your legacy, allow them to know your desires so your legacy can live. That's the answer. I think that when you have a father that was in part of your life, grandfather, and they died, and you no longer can connect with them in the flesh, and you don't need another father because that father in that season that you had with him have gave you enough, but the void is that he's gone. Then my answer to you is build a legacy in his name. Make sure that Father's Day is dedicated to his name being known. Make sure that Father's Day is dedicated to help something impact another child. Build a program, build a camp program, anything to make sure that father that impacts your life, that has a void, his name is being alive on the earth because of something you imparted through his name. And I think that in time, it will kill the void of him not being there, because you'll see the legacy growing through your love for your father.
Hello, my name is Elder Juanita Sutton, and I'm a cast on Conversations. And I have a question for Pastor. Do you think that fathers are just important as mothers?
Well, that's an easy question, we're equal, because without the father, there cannot be any children, period. But without the mother, there will not be children born. Father has the ability to create children with the mother, but the mother has the ability to hold them until the season comes that they're received. So this is a partnership. I think that because the way the world is today, we put emphasis on mothers more than we put on fathers, because the system protects mothers, because the mother carries the womb for 9 months, and then the journey begins after. The father's journey don't even begin until the baby is born, if he's going to be in the child's life. He doesn't have a journey until the baby's born. So we are protecting the mother, but I believe, in all honesty, that they both have 100% authority or responsibility to that child, so they should get 100% praise.
Hello, my name is Marcella from the cast of Let's Talk with Victory. Pastor Tony, I have a question for you. As a daddy's girl and of a father who's real reserved, how do you show him appreciation and honor on Father's Day?
Take time to study and find out what he wants, and give him that. Don't give him what you think he wants. Study him, because that's what touches the heart of a person, is when people bring them something because they studied them. They took time to study what they want or what they need. It all depends what season they're in. Your father might be in a season of no longer having needs. He just has wants. Study your father. Take time to study him. And in return, you be able to give him the gift that he desires, because everything doesn't cost money that the father might need. But as you study him, maybe the gift that the father wants is to bring the family together. Then you be able to take the time and build that and give that as a gift to him. So the answer to the question is, in order to find out how to bless him the way you want, that you think he deserves, is find out what he wants and what he deserves for what he wants, and give it to him.
Hi, my name is Howard. I'm one of the assistant pastors at Victorious Ministry International. I am so thankful to have the opportunity to ask the pastor a question. Now, Pastor, the question that I have for you, what advice do you have for middle-aged men that are going through midlife crisis?
What advice I have is, because we all go through some type of crisis. Even the children in your life transitioning from high school to college is going through a crisis. They don't see it, but they're going through a crisis. Moving from one house to a smaller house or a bigger house creates some type of crisis. What I say to you is, though you may go through a midlife crisis, though you might be trying to maintain or hold on to the youthfulness, never change what you really are. And what you really are is a father. What you really are is a man. What you really are is one that has principles and standards. And although you might change your dress code and you try to stay youthful, never get so far out that you don't become the father to the children God has given you. Well, in growing up, from the father's role, the word father should not change in growing up. What I mean by that is, when he was 1, he called you daddy. When he was 12, he called you daddy. When he's 50, he should be still calling you daddy or father. But what does change is time. What changes is that we have to accept as parents that the father, the man, the boy that's now the father, has an obligation to be a father to his children. And we need to shift our position of not being leader, but maybe just being counselor. Not leading the way, but maybe imparting information. So I know that you have to understand that in the transition of a woman being married to a husband, that she would have, the time would have to be minimized, because she needs to invest in the father of her children if she's married to him. But what we have to understand is, things do change, but what doesn't change is the character and the love that you show your father. I will say this. Father's Day would be an explosive day if you respect your father every day. I will say that. I will say that Father's Day will be an incredible Father's Day if he can sit in his chair and look at the years that he invested in you and see a return because of how you invested in him or impart into his life. I think that if you learn that, you'll learn that fathers can adjust to transitions and changes because he see his seed giving growth.
Hello, I'm Deaconess Leisha, and I'm the host of Let's Talk with Victory. Pastor, my question is, what advice would you give to a new father?
My advice to a new father is this. Learn from your mistakes. Let them all be teachable moments. And don't try to copy what you don't understand. Learn how to pull back and digest. The truth of the matter is, most young men, or men in general, is never prepared to be a father. And even though they might be excited to be a father, most of us are not prepared to be a father. So accept the adjustment, accept the transitions, and any mistake you make, learn from that mistake, and then step up and be the father that you're called to be. Time will show you real fatherhood if you don't reject being a father. Well, when you live in a house with a father, without a father in the home, without a good example of a father in the home, the Bible says that when your mother and father forsake you, then the Lord will pick you up. He'll bring a teacher. He'll bring an uncle. He'll bring another kid's father. He'll bring something that you might not call father to be the example of fatherhood. He'll bring something that you might have to adjust to see them as a father, but that person will impart in you. Sometimes we focus so hard on trying to get something from someone that don't have it to give. They're not equipped for it. They're not built for it. You know, you can't, sometimes it's hard to try to get wisdom from a man that only loves laughter, that only like to joke. So you like, where can I get wisdom? I can't get serious with you. Well, he doesn't know how to. But there is a math teacher. There's the man across the street. There's Mr. Joe. That's Uncle Willie. That's your cousin's friend or whatever. There's someone that God is saying that moment, although that moment may be small, it's a father moment. That information, although that information may not be something he gives consistently, but it's a father's information. God will never leave you fatherless. And that's why it's so easy to love God, because you're seeing that father, the image of the father, comes through multiple situations in your life. Hey, my time is up. I hope you were blessed by the questions. I don't know it all. Never claimed to know it all. But I would love to, my assignment on this earth is to push people to their purpose and try to heal things that are broken in people's lives. I pray that Father's Day becomes a unique day, an incredible day, a day that has love. And I think that if you're going to call this Father's Day, then consider your father. That's it. Make sure that your day is dedicated to being a father, blessing your father. And for those that are not the father, but is connected to a father, but you're not the father. You're the woman, you're the other person, but you're connected to a father. Don't give the father hell because he has children that wants to celebrate him. God bless you and have a wonderful time.